This is the triangle they give us. Now, I'll just go ahead and kind of put this out there. One of the reasons I know I can use the law of sines here, besides the fact that they tell me to in the directions, is that I can use the law of sines anytime I'm given one angle. If they were to only give me three sides, I'd have to use the law of cosines. That's the one time you have to use the law of cosines, if you just get the three sides of the triangle and no angles. And I can see that I got an angle here. So what am I going to do? Well, I know the law of sines says that I can make these little proportions, and the formula looks like this. And basically what it's telling me is take the sine of an angle and put it over the side across from it. But I only want two of those three fractions. I got to solve it, and I can't solve it with three. Now, you could label this if you wanted to, or you could just do this. What's the angle that you know here? 14. So I know I'm going to take the sine of 14 degrees, and I'm going to put it over the side across from it. So let's go across from it. Imagine there's a little ant. He's crawling to the side across from it. What is the side length that he crawled to? Isn't it 1, right? That's the side across from it. Now, I could label that angle A. I could have labeled that angle A and this side A and say that is sine A over A. I could do that, but I don't really have to unless I just want to. If it helps me, I'll do it.
I want to.
But you can go ahead and do that if you want to, okay? Now, let's say we did do it, okay, since Nathan said he wanted to. The missing angle is X. Let me just call that B. I'm just going to label this triangle ABC. They didn't put letters on it. I can do it if I want to. I don't have to do it if I don't want to here, as long as I understand what the formula is saying. Since they want to find X, X is a missing angle, isn't it? I could write sine of X here if I wanted to, or I could write... I could have written it down as sine of angle B, and just remember that angle B is the X that I'm solving for. And the reason I want that in there is because I'm trying to find that quantity, so it's got to be in there somewhere, right? What is the side across from this X? How long is the side across from it? 4. Yeah, if the little ant, you told if the ant was sitting on the angle, you said crawl to the opposite side, he'd crawl right over there to that 4, okay?
He's an obedient ant.
Yes, he is a very obedient ant. Okay. So what I just did is I put sine A over the little side A, and I put sine B over the little side B. And again, to make that a little more obvious, what I could come in here and do, I labeled this A there. The side across from B, I could have called it B. The side across from C, I could have called it C and really used the formula formally. But if you understand that it's just the sine of an angle over the side across from it, and you set up two fractions like that, and you make sure you got your pieces of information that we knew the 14 degrees, the 1 and the 4, so we know we need them in our equation, and we know we need the X. That's really all I can do here. They didn't even tell me anything about that other angle or the side across from it anyway, so it's I'm just using the information they gave me. Okay, so now I'm just going to cross multiply. 1 times sine X is sine X, right? And then if I cross multiply the other diagonal here, just for quick solving purposes, this is sine of 14 degrees times 4. Now be careful. I would write this down as 4 times the sine of 14, because if you write down sine of 14 degrees times 4, it's not wrong, but that is not the same thing as the sine of, 56? You don't want to multiply those two numbers and accidentally get 56. If you do, you're not looking at it correctly. It's just the sine of 14 degrees, whatever that number is, times 4. So putting the 4 out front can kind of help you not, mess that up. Now, I'm going to need a calculator for this. Let me grab mine. Here's what I would suggest you do. The sine of X is equal to 4 times the sine of 14 degrees. Couldn't I go ahead and get that number in my calculator? Right, that's something I can just punch in. What do I need to remember about my mode? It needs to be set to degrees, right? And if you reset your calculator, it puts it in radians. So remember to go to mode and space down and highlight degrees and hit enter. So you're working in degrees. So I can then when I want out of that, I hit second quit. I can type in 4 sine 14, and I'm getting this number 0.96768. I'm just going to put ... I'm leaving it in my calculator because I want it to be really accurate. Now, if I want to find that missing angle, remember, this is one of the things you have to do on your project is find a missing angle. How am I going to find that angle? What steps do I do here to actually find out what X is when I have something that looks like this? And that's what I'm trying to do, is find that missing angle. Don't I have the sign ratio right here? It's written as a decimal, but isn't that it's a fraction divided out. Would you agree?
My calculator's getting 396.
Okay, so you're probably in radians and not degrees is what I'm guessing.
I checked.
Calculator. Do you remember that if you've got sine x equals this number, and that could have been a fraction that we could have divided out, but you remember that algebraically how we show that we're solving is we say, well, to get x by itself, I do the opposite of the sign. I do the inverse sign, and I could write it down as sine to the minus, it looks like sine to the minus 1 power. That's just saying inverse sine. But I got to do that to both sides. And what this inverse sine and this sine do is they undo each other, kind of like squaring and square rooting undo each other. And I would get x equal sine inverse of 0.96768 ... That number, I still got it sitting in my calculator. So I'm trying to keep the full number in there instead of rounding it. Because if I round it, I'm going to get a slightly different answer than what the answer key is going to get. So if you remember, how do we punch that in? We hit second and then sine, because the inverse sine is sitting right on that sine button above it. And to get to it, I hit the second button. So I'm going to hit second sine. And then I can retype that number that's on my calculator, but your calculator will go grab that number from you. I don't know if you know that or not. If I hit second sine, I can hit now second and that little negative key at the bottom, and the calculator will go up and grab that number for me so I don't have to retype it. So if you look above the negative number, it says the negative sign, it says answer. ANS stands for answer. It'll go grab your last answer for you. Or I can retype it if I can't remember that. And what I'm getting when I do that is x is about 75. Let's go, I'm going to round just to the nearest tenth because I don't have the book in front of me and I don't remember what it said to do. So that'd be about 75.4 degrees.
It says round each angle to the nearest.
Oh, 3 digits. Okay, so let's do what it says. So if it's 75.39509, so that would be about, I'll have to write it over here because I'm out of space. That would be about 75.395 degrees if we're rounding to the nearest thousandth, which would be 3 decimal places.